Hello and welcome back to another in-depth weather video. Today we are talking about Tropical Storm Howard, which has just formed in the East Pacific. So let's take a look at the current statistics for this storm on the National Hurricane Center page. Starting off here with maximum sustained winds, Tropical Storm Howard currently has maximum sustained winds of 40 miles an hour. It also has minimum central pressure of 1,004 millibars, and it is moving northwest at 12 miles per hour. So let's take a look at the warnings and cone for this storm. You can see here, as of right now, the storm is just off the southwest coast of Mexico and will continue to move to the northwest and maintain tropical storm status until 12 p.m. on Thursday, as it starts to move toward the west at about 25 degrees north and eventually go post-tropical and become a depression. So we are going to see a little bit of consistency with this storm, and that has to do in part with, let's actually update this real quick, with the trajectory that the storm is going on and the actual thunderstorm development here. So you can see our center of rotation's right in here, but most of that thunderstorm development is on the northern side. And we have some of that energy getting pulled up from the south as the storm continues to move to the north and west, which does help the storm a little bit, continuing that flow of energy into the storm. And you can see those thunderstorms to the south and southeast of the storm are actually funneling their way into the center of the storm. So let's start off here with our hurricane models, and we can see here on this spaghetti chart here that the track is pretty set in stone. We're going to see this northwest track, and eventually it's going to start to shape over to the west. So starting off northwest, kind of sloping over to the west. Now there are some spaghetti strains, as I like to call them, that do have this bearing off early or taking that turn back toward the south, but in general the most common track is that northwest to direct west track. Now that includes the GEFS, where we look at our median line here showing 1,004 millibars and then 996 millibars in 24 hours, which is showing that intensity continuing to grow while the storm remains just to the north of the 20 degrees north parallel, which in the East Pacific we usually set as a marker for storms starting to degenerate a little bit, right? The cooler waters in the East Pacific do hinder the development of the storm above 20 degrees north, which we can see here 48 hours from now, 1,000 millibars, and that's at about 23 degrees north, 1,007 millibars at 72 hours from now, and that's getting toward the 25 degrees north parallel, and 1,013 millibars 120 hours from now at that 25 degrees north parallel. So we also have the GEPS here, which shows that intensity dropping toward the 20 degrees north parallel, but climbing again afterwards. Then we have the European model, which we usually use just for track here, and you can see that little bend happens right around 72 hours, which is consistent across most models, but the European model does have this coming back to the south a little bit more, but at that point it's too weak to really do anything. Peak intensities here, again, just before that 20 degrees north parallel, about 24 hours from now. That is corroborated by our intensity guidance here, where we do have a lot of different possibilities here, but most of the models here, I think except for one or two, have the storm reaching peak intensity around 24 hours. Some have it reaching intensity at 36 hours, but consistent, steady drop-off after that point is expected. So here is the GFS, not the GEFS, we just looked at that. So the GFS is showing that as soon as the storm crosses that 20 degrees north parallel, after going all the way down to 987 millibars, it slowly starts to edge its way back up here, and those winds continue to slow down, and the storm kind of fades away by at this point, that's actually Friday. Now, the European model is a bit different, having that intensity much lower, peaking out at about 1,001 millibars. There it is. And slowly starting to track upwards and kind of fading away here on Wednesday the 10th. Now, that does mean differences in intensity, as those millibars usually correlate to the strength of the storm. So let's see here what the GFS, I keep mixing that up today, says the peak intensity of the storm will be. So right in here, that is about strong tropical storm status, which if we look at our intensity guidance here, probably correlates with a couple of these models a little bit more. Then you have the European model here, where if we look at our peak intensity in terms of wind speeds, you can see that we are borderline tropical storm. So that is more in line with some of these models in here that show this storm really not living up to that potential. But that is all the information that I have for today. This is a weird storm, but in a way where it's not going to be super impactful. So some of the intensity differences that we're seeing are pretty minuscule on a fish storm compared to a landfalling storm. So either way, we're looking at a tropical storm, really not going to have much intensity, not going to be impacting anywhere of note. So we are set in stone there. At least we know the track, and that is pretty solidified. So that is good news. That is all I have for today. If you enjoyed this video and found it informative, consider leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell. That is all I have for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.